First settlers in this area, as far as we can determine, came in 1830. Previous to that, the land had been occupied by the Indians, the Illini tribe, the Kickapoo, and the Piankashaw, simply as hunting and grazing lands. 1850 was basically the standard point, starting point of the formation of the land. The land had been platted into sections and townships. Once the railroad came in, then town of Arcola was finally founded about 10 years later. The second railroad went through the area. This was the Paris and Decatur Railroad. It went through in an east to west direction, from Paris to Decatur, and eventually from Terre Haute to Peoria. It was necessary to have a switching track so that two engines or two trains could pass each other as they went through east and west. So that one of these was built in what became Arthur. It was on the county line between Douglas and Moultrie. This gave an extra strength to the people who were already became inhabitants of this area, and two of the owners in that area each donated 20 acres of land to the people, to the railroad, and they could develop their area. The first merchant came to town from a little town called Owasco, which was west of what is now Cadwell. The business district then became necessary to have other businesses come in. And the grocery stores, the hardware, the drugstores, and some of these came from Arcola, who brought over and opened up branch stores. But pretty soon, the locals were moving in and they became the owners themselves. They had the elevators because of grain. At one time we had 3 elevators in the Arthur area, and lumber yards, coal yards, general merchandise. The first name chosen for the community was Glasgow, which was the middle name of Robert Glasgow Hervey, who was the president of the railroad. However, a few years after the town was founded in 1873, it was incorporated in 1877, they found out that there was another town when they applied for a post office by that same name, Glasgow. Even with the switch difference, they thought that was confusing and the post office wouldn't occur. So then they named it Arthur, which was the name of a brother of the railroad man. In 1893, the area was further blessed by another railroad coming through. The CNEI Railroad came through at an angle and crossed with the Illinois Midland, which was the name of the Paris and Decatur at that time. And they built across, and this gave the area access to Chicago markets as well as the St. Louis markets for their grain and also for the return of goods that they could buy and the shipping goods. We had a tile factory, we had, believe it or not, a broom factory, a road machinery factory that was very influential in the growth of the area. Then we also had even a cigar factory. But the manufacturing then became a very, very strong issue. And over the years, now today, we're very strong in manufacturing.
The American Mennonites met in Elkhart, Indiana in 1920, and they were trying to figure out a way to help the needy people in what was then the Soviet Union. And in 1960, we had 2 men come to Arthur from Morton, Illinois. There was going to be a relief sale in Congerville, Illinois. And we sent a truckload of auction items to Congerville. And the following year, we sent a larger truckload. And the Arthur leaders in the Amish and Mennonite churches thought, you know, I think we could do this ourselves. So they put together the first Arthur Mennonite relief sale in 1962. So now we raise approximately between $110,000 and $130,000. So the last full weekend in August before Labor Day is usually when the sale is scheduled. We have a lot going on that day of the sale. Symbolically, the sale starts off with a loaf of bread. The symbolism would be feeding the hungry, the bread, as in the Bible. We started listing when the sale items would come up for auction, the high ticket items. We did not want our crowd to feel jeopardized by missing something if they got up to go get food. So we started putting times on each big piece of furniture. If you've got your eye on a bedroom suit, you don't want to miss that when it comes. You don't want to be eating chicken over in the other part of the building when that thing comes up for sale on the auction block. We have all surrounding the auction floor would be food stands and Christian books. We have homemade pie and ice cream. We have baked goods. The church ladies get together. If you go away hungry, it's your own fault. We also have individuals who, some of these gentlemen have passed away, but one gentleman used to make a marble roller. All of them were different. Every year this gentleman would make it differently. And very intricate toys. I think the adults enjoyed them just as much as the children. Another gentleman would make four-legged stools out of different kind of wood, and he had one there every year. We had a table with 12 leaves for many, many years. There was one family that donated a quilt every year for 41 consecutive sales. And at our 50th sale in 2011, that family, or whoever bought that first quilt from this particular family, donated it back, and we resold that first family quilt of theirs at our 50th sale. And the relief sale is one of the biggest giving efforts that we have in this community, and to know that 80% of that is also going to be far-reaching globally is one of the main attractions of the event.
This building was a lot like Penn Station, but we moved to Arthur and sold the place, and then later on I got to thinking that we needed a building just like we had in Cadwell. So we started looking around for property and couldn't find any, and then we found this property there at where it's currently at, but we couldn't buy it because it was in the courts. Something was going on there. So we had to wait for about 8 years, but we finally did get that in 2014. And so we started building in 2015 and finished it in 15, and it's been open about a year and a half now. And it is used for a lot of different things. We have a lot of weddings in there, and we have have had some visitations, some funerals, and it's been fun working with everybody. Every Wednesday night we have music. Gunnysack Review plays there, and every Sunday morning we have church. And they had the Illinois arm wrestling competition there in February. So it's used for a lot of different things, with the help of a lot of the community and local businesses, and they've all been real easy to work with. The building is 160 long by 48 wide, and then it's 25 feet to the ceiling. I think it's real tall because we couldn't go any wider and we couldn't go any longer, so we had to go up. And we have a balcony in. We can seat 400 people in the auditorium and 160 or so in the balcony, so we can have 550 or 560 comfortable in there. Every Wednesday night we have music, and the same group of people that used to come to Cadwell are still coming here every Wednesday night. That's been 11 years ago. And they come and they play for nothing, for the fun of it, because they like the music. And it is, a lot of people show up just because they like the music and they like the fellowship. It's become a big family. You know, I have friends from all over central Illinois because of these people coming here every Wednesday night to fellowship with each other and to listen to the music. We did put a dance floor in front of the stage, and we have a lot of people that like to dance will go up and just really have a good time dancing with the music, and that's a big part of it too. And since we put that dance floor in, a lot of different people will come just to dance, and kids and everybody will be up there dancing at the same time. What I really am proud of Penn Station is because of all the local people that have been a part of it, and it's their building. It is truly a community building. It's nonprofit, so nobody makes any profit off of it, and it's there to help bring the community together, I guess.
Building that Delbert was in, to my knowledge, the only thing that was ever in that building was a men's clothing store. And over the course of years, there have been just a handful of owners. Came under ownership of Delbert Taylor in 1957. Delbert Taylor was Arthur, born and bred. He bought the store from IG in July of '57, and then remodeled, gutted the building, and opened in 1958. People would drive from Champaign, Decatur, and all the communities around, and they'd come and shop and then go have dinner. It just made a wonderful experience for a couple to get out and go. Over the years, we've always had a very, very strong relationship with the University of Illinois Athletic Department, and that goes back to the days of John Watkins. John graduated from the University of Illinois, and when he was at the university, his roommate happened to be none other than Dyke Edelman. One of the first people that Dyke brought down to the store was Lou Henson. And over the years, Lou became a very, very close friend of John's. Lou had his own coffee cup in the store, and he'd come in and first thing he'd do was head to get his free coffee. And he would visit with anybody and everybody. He could be in the store for 10 minutes, and I think everybody in town finally realized it pretty quick. Obviously, one of the things that we've been renowned for over the years was the Orange Blazer, and we got Lou started with an Orange Blazer, and it just caught on and really created the Orange Mania at Illinois. And down through the years, I think all of the head coaches, we outfitted football and basketball primarily with Orange Blazers, and so it was just a lot of fun. There's an interesting little story that I had some personal satisfaction out of, but I got a call from an assistant from Tennessee, and didn't identify who it was. And he said, "I understand you people have an Orange Blazer." And I said, "Yeah, we do." And so, well, my boss is a coach, and they have orange, and he'd like to get an Orange Blazer, and wanted to know if we could come up with that. And I said, "Well," I said, "where are you from?" And he said, "Tennessee." And I said, "Oh, that's Bruce Pearl, wasn't it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, it is." I said, "Well, I tell you what, I think this conversation's going about as far as it's going to go." I said, "I'm not interested in selling Bruce Pearl an Orange Blazer, but thank you and have a good day." And so I just felt like I got a little vindication.
I'm here to talk about the Arthur Library, which started in 1900 in Arthur, and a group of ladies got together and decided that Arthur needed a library. So they solicited $10 donations from 40 prominent citizens, and with that money they purchased 247 books. And the library was housed in Homring House Jewelers, which later became McKee's Jewelers. And for the princely sum of $6.25 a month, they paid Mr. Homring House to be librarian and for the use of his building. In 1905, a library association was formed and a board of directors. And in 1907, they decided that they needed another building, a library, a place of their own. And so a lot was purchased at 232 South Vine. A building was constructed on that lot in 1908. And that remained the library from 1908 until 1991. Several years ago, a vote was taken for us to become a public library district, which means that we operate, anyone who is in the school district is also a part of the library district and can use the library. And so that enabled us to increase staff and expand our hours, and that was a big plus. Over the years, several additions, expansions, remodeling was done to that building, but finally it was determined in the mid-'80s that we needed something new. A site search began in 1989, and finally lots were purchased on Walnut Street, just a block off of Vine Street. And that is where they determined they would put the new library, which began construction in April of 1991. Ground was broken for the library. Work was done all that summer, and at the end of August that year, there was a library foundation fundraising weekend that was held. And many groups in the community and churches and civic organizations raised money to help put the library over so they would have enough money to open. On October 13th of that year, there was a book brigade. That book brigade was a group of volunteers that moved the library from Vine Street, the block over to Walnut Street. And that was quite an undertaking, but we had a lot of help. My mother, my daughter, and I were all a part of that, and it was wonderful. Our librarian, Alice, was surprised to learn, because she had been hired that summer to be the new librarian, and she was surprised to learn that she was going to have to be in charge of moving all those books. But she was very pleased with everything that was done. On October 21st of 1991, that was when we had our grand opening in the John E. Tim Memorial Building with the 1908 memorial stone from the library on Vine Street in place, and it is still there today in the building. The library board and staff of the Arthur Public Library feel it's very important, as I mentioned before, to remain relevant, to contribute to the Arthur community in different ways, in a lot of different ways. They provide a wide array of educational materials and cultural opportunities for the people in town and for all ages. The library is, I think, kind of representative of a lot of things in Arthur. It's very important to be, not just be good, but be better, and to make it a place that people want to come and see.
So we were coming back from West Virginia. I had a cabin out there, and I saw a sign. At the time, I owned Dick's Pharmacy, and we have a soda fountain. So I like to stop at places that have soda fountains in a pharmacy. Saw a sign on the road, said that they had a soda fountain. So we stopped in there on the Sunday coming back. They happened to serve lunch, the soda fountain, and I met the owner. But he was also very proud of something else he did, and it was called his pumpkin house at Canova, West Virginia. And so we have, he showed me postcards of the pumpkin house, different pictures. So the thoughts started processing in my mind as we're standing there. And we get back in the car and I say to Ron, we can do this. He looks at me, he's like, no way. I said, not 3,000 pumpkins, but we can start with 200. And we can do it at downtown in Arthur, at the house that Noel and Iris own, right there in downtown. It would be a great show place for it. It'll help the community. We can get the school kids involved. So we came back and we talked to Noel and we talked to Iris about it. And they were very leery, very excited about the idea, but at the same time, you're talking about pumpkins. You're talking about jack-o'-lanterns. You're talking about something that kids, take and throw out in the middle of the street, and this becomes mush. We got to make them proud of this. We got to make the community proud of this. We got to make the community own this. Because once they take ownership of it, then we don't have the problem with having vandalism. We took it to the grade school, we took it to the high school, we said to the art class in high school, can you help us with this? To the grade school, can you help us with this? So the 4th and 5th grades classes in grade school still today help us by carving about 100 to 120 pumpkins each year. The Mennonite school helps us, used to Lovington's grade school will help us. Now then the youth groups from the churches come in, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, It runs from October 24th through October 31st every year. Since the house sits so close to Vine Street, the display is very prominent. It's very bright. You can't miss it if you're going down Vine Street. It's the main drag in town. It's right there in the downtown business district, so it ties into the community very well. The first year we turned it on, people just slammed on their brakes. It was really a showstopper for the community because they didn't know what to expect. Nobody knew this was coming. So it's been fun ever since. We've had a good time with it. All kinds of designs. I mean, we have faces, we have people that will draw the world. We have, it's amazing. Any type of thing that you can imagine on a pumpkin, they have done it. We light them on the 24th each year. We light them every night starting about dusk, and it goes off about 10:30, 11 o'clock each night. And then they're lit until October 31st, which is Halloween. On November 1st every year, then we start tearing it down. The first time when people are coming down the street and suddenly they slam on their brakes to see what's over there, that tells me everything we need to know. We did the right thing. For over 10 years now, and I think it's a great accomplishment. Looking back at what we saw back in West Virginia, and I know that it's not the same display that they have going on there with 3,000, but it's something that I think Arthur is very proud of, and I think it's something that we can continue on because it's not unrealistic. Even after I'm done doing this, I think somebody else can still pick up the pieces, pick up where we're at right now, and run with it and continue to run with it for years to come.
Arthur, This Is Our Story is supported by Tri-County Welding, big enough to serve, small enough to care. Roseland's Coffees and Delights, an atmosphere of relaxation, rejuvenation, and comfort. And the Yoder Center, a vital part of Arthur.
Hey, thank you for staying around with us. We're having a good time tonight.
We are having a ball here at WEIU Studios. And I hope you're enjoying Arthur. This is our story.
We certainly are. We've got a couple of thank yous to shout out here. Who do you have?
Connie from Bethany. Thank you so much, Connie. And Margaret from Arthur. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody wants to know where we're at. We're at 59 right now.
Yes.
We're trying to get to 88.
We're trying to get to 100.
Oh, we're trying to get 100.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can we get to 88 first, and then we'll get to 100?
Let's get to 89.
Okay, 89.
That's the year I graduated.
Okay, we'll just get to 89. We've got 8 phones. One's Omer's talking to somebody. He joined the phone bank, so we thank Omer for being here. And we have to mention his wife, Nancy.
Yes.
She's in the other room watching on the big screen. And Nancy, we owe her a huge thank you for our last premiere night. She helped us after it was over, and she helped clean up. And so, Nancy, you're a dear.
We held a premiere last Thursday night at Penn Station, so thank you to both Omer and Nancy Miller. If you want to thank them as well, you can call him tonight and say, hey, you got some great stories to share with us tonight. We're enjoying those, and I'd like a copy of that DVD. Right there, you see it on your screen. One is $75, 2 or more are $60 each.
A good deal for sure. You're not only just purchasing it, you're not purchasing a DVD, but you're saying, Arthur's important to me. I want to keep a DVD to hand down to my future generations of my family. It's what you need to do. We love Arthur, and we know you love Arthur too, so we'd like for you to give us a call. We've got 7 people that are waiting right now to get your call. Omer's just off the phone right now, so if you want to talk to Omer, you can call him now.
We've got someone over here with a sign that says, call me if you know her.
Oh, she's a young'un.
Yes, and we've got some other lovely ladies and some people over here on the other side that have stepped up to take your phone calls. There she is right there. So get those phones ringing. It is so easy. All you have to do is pick it up, dial, say, I would love a copy of that story. I want a copy of that DVD, just like that person's doing right there. You keep them coming.
Takes less than 1 minute. You know, people say, why should I call? And we say, if WEIU didn't do this program on Arthur, who would have done it, first of all, and would they have done it like we did it with your 28 storytellers and the great people of Arthur? This isn't just about a program. This is about building relationships with your community, and Arthur's number 7 for us, and we are so fortunate that we've gotten to know the people from Arthur and to learn so many great things. We would like you to support this program, as WEIU can't do this program for nothing. That's part of it. We want to do these programs for you. And the 28 storytellers did a great job telling the story about Arthur, and we want you to support that program. But here's what you got to do. You got to go to the phone and give these people that are sitting here a call. DVDs DVDs are $75 for one. 2 or more is $60. I'm going to throw it over to Keanne.
I've got a special guest in the house tonight. This is Bruce Wood. And Bruce, we heard your story about the pumpkin house that led into this break. Yeah. And that is something that I want to go see this year because lots of unique, different things about pumpkins. So what is your favorite part about the pumpkin house?
Well, I think the favorite part is for when we get to turn it on the first time, because that's just really achieving what we were made to get to all that week, and for that, all those people who put all that effort into getting all those pumpkins gutted, getting them all moved, getting them all put into place, and then getting them all carved. That's just what we strive for, is to get that final show out there on the street.
And light it up for the first time.
Yes.
And get to see it in all its glory.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that I can do that as well. And if you enjoyed seeing that story this evening, Bruce is sitting right here. He's standing by the phone, or he's sitting by the phone, and he's ready to take your call. So give Bruce a call. The phones are silent right now. And when you call, you are saying thank you to them, and you're saying thank you for sharing, Arthur, this is our story. Jana, back to you.
Thank you, Keanne. Right now, I just want to take a moment. It's so quiet in here right now. I just want to take a moment to just, now the phone rings. That's what we want to hear. I just want to give a shout out to Philo Schrock. I hope that you're watching, and he was trying to get online and watch, and I hope that he is watching, a very special person who did a story on the gunny sack. So Philo, if you're there, our thoughts are with you. Get better soon, and we wish you were here with us tonight. If you know Philo Schrock, call tonight. If you saw his story, it was very special. The whole history of gunny sack and where it started and where it's at now. And Philo's been a gigantic part of the gunny sack, along with Omer as well. So we are excited that we're able to give you stories like the gunny sack and the Penn Station and all these other ones that we brought tonight. And when it gets quiet here, it makes us go, wow, did we not do a good job? And I know that we did, but when you call, you let us know that you enjoyed it as well. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what it was. Part of the curtain back there, but that's okay. That's what happens
the part
on
of live TV. That's right.
That's okay. We're real people too.
Yes.
And we are wanting you to show us how real your feelings are about Arthur tonight, and really how real are your feelings about public media, because that's what we are. And without a station like WEIU TV coming into your town and showcasing these awesome people and these stories and archiving the history for future children who are growing up to be able to know, hey, this is what the people in my community did. I want to continue carrying on those traditions. You want to share that with them. So you know what you have to do? You have to pick up the phone right now and call in to make sure that these stories continue to be told.
That's right, Keanne. And we talk about our communities that we serve, our stories, we've done 7. Arthur is the smallest community so far, but wow, they don't seem small.
No.
I mean, they have so many people that have businesses there. They have arts and craftsmen that are there that are just phenomenal. And something we didn't talk about is the food. What have we been thinking all night? We've been eating
important
food,
in Arthur,
but we haven't talked about it. I mean, for us, to go and see the homemade goods that we've gotten there and enjoyed so much, and Christy Miller played a big part in helping us with those items for our premiere night and for our night tonight. So we thank Christy for that.
And so did Anna Hirschberger.
Anna Hirschberger, absolutely. So we really appreciate that tonight. Like I said, the phones are quiet. If this program is important to you, call us. We want to hear from you. Even if you call and say hello to the people that are sitting here by the phone, let's get the phones ringing. Let's get excitement going on in the studio again.
We've got some more stories coming your way in just a few minutes. We're going to be learning about the economic development. We're going to be learning about Amish history,
They're waving.
The Arthur American Legion, the making of a festival, which Arthur has a ton of.
A lot of those.
And Arthur Fireworks, and Mark Jones is here this evening. And once again, these photographs that we're showcasing are from Mark, and we're so pleased to be able to showcase through the images all the different things that speak Arthur.
That's right.
And through the stories, and to be able to tell these via the storytellers. They just did an amazing job. And it would be a shame if you didn't, really, it would be a shame if you didn't get a copy of this DVD to be able to keep for yourself, to be able to watch it anytime you wanted to and be able to share that.
Right. It's a special program, and you're not going to find a program like this anywhere else. The nice thing about being a public broadcasting station, this isn't the only time that we're ever going to air this program. This program means so much to us. We're going to air it again and again.
Yes.
And it's exciting for us to be able to bring this to our viewers. You know, we talked earlier, how many viewers, possible viewers, could be watching this program tonight?
Well, we cover 22 counties in the state of Illinois and partly into Vigo County, Indiana, and we reach over a potential of 1 million+ households. That's
Wow.
a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
But we're also streaming this program online at WEIU.net, so anywhere in the world tonight can hear about Arthur, Illinois.
Arthur is a very, very special place, and we know that just from the time that we've spent there the last 4 months. This program wasn't done overnight. It took a lot of hours and hours of work. Several weeks, and it took a lot of hours for our storytellers. These storytellers volunteered to do the stories. They did all the research. They gave us the photos, and then they came and they interviewed and talk about an experience for these people. A lot of them were very nervous, but when it's all said and done and they see the program, they're like, wow, how did you do that? And we're like, we didn't do it, you did.
Yeah, you should be proud of yourself.
And wow, and for a community of people to do this, it's very exciting. Tonight, we want you to show us that you appreciate the program as well. We need you to call. That's the only way we're going to know at this point. And we got a couple thank yous maybe.
Yes, we have, whoa, I'm losing my program here. We have Larry from Arthur and Mary Lou from Arthur, and she's buying Christmas presents.
Wow, great idea.
Awesome. And we have June from Arthur. So we are at 63. Keep them coming. The phones are still ringing back here, but we still have several people back here waiting to take your call.
I know that the people of Arthur can do it. Are they still awake? Are they still awake in Arthur, you guys?
Yeah, we heard they were coming back from track meets and softball games. Winners there. We want to be winners here. Celebrate Arthur all the way around tonight, whether you're a sports fanatic, whether you want to be a history fanatic.
There you go. Come on. Let's get a phone blitz. Let's get a phone blitz.
And tell them what that is.
A phone blitz is when every phone operator, we have 8 of them, are talking to someone on the phone. Let's get that going. You know how exciting it gets in the studio? Because when it gets that exciting, we show them on the phone rather than us keep on talking. So hey, that you get to see your friends that are answering the phone. So come on, who's going to be the next one? The phone number's on the bottom of your screen. Let's get our goal, because you know what? Like I said, Arthur is the smallest community that we've done stories on so far.
Got a big heart.
Big heart, and that doesn't mean that you can't surpass some of those other communities that are a little bit bigger than you.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about the people of Arthur through the stories as well as tonight, because there's a lot of funny people in Arthur. Let me tell you, they love to share humor. They love to joke. They love to be serious too. But they just really enjoy one another, and they like to spend time together, and they like to share that through their stories. And we're so proud to be a part of it. And please call and tell them thank you so much for spreading that positivity into my household tonight.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then we've seen it time and time again, just on speaking with these people, talking about how much the Arthur people care about the Arthur people. If there's somebody that's in need, somebody that's had a fire, somebody that just is having a hard time, people in Arthur, that's just what they do. They don't even have a second thought. That's just what they do.
They do it for themselves in that town, but they also spread it wherever the need is needed.
Right. That's
just like we learned in one of the stories earlier, the Mennonite relief sale. Awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing to us that a small community like Arthur can do so much. And it makes me, being from Charleston, it makes me want to do more, because if they can do it, we can do it too. And other communities that are watching it right now can get great ideas of things they might be able to do for their community as well.
Absolutely.
It's too quiet in here.
It is quiet. We don't like it.
Crickets
we need those
chirping. Crickets are chirping. We need you to call. We just need people. Who's going to be the first one right now? We're going to keep on talking until one person calls. You got to call.
You got to call.
You got to call.
We're going to talk about pigs.
My husband's going to call me.
We're going to talk about the fair. We're going to talk about the tractor cruise.
We're going to talk. Who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 2? If you have ridden in that tractor cruise ever,
yes,
and you drive a Moline or a John Deere or a red one. What's the red one?
Or a blue one.
Chalmer or something.
Ice something. I don't know.
Harvester.
You got some more thank yous, Brenda?
Yeah. We have
You give us a call if you're a tractor lover.
You're a tractor lover.
All right. We've got Joyce from Arthur, and we have Ada from Arthur. So 65,
Woo!
keep on coming.
Come on. You know what? There is no reason why we can't get up to that goal. There's
no reason why.
And you know
just
what?
have to pick up the phone and give us a call.
But you know what's going to happen? If we reach that goal, then the other communities aren't going to be very happy.
Yeah. You know what else is going to happen?
What?
The city officials are going to do the chicken dance live on TV.
Boy, that would be great.
That's what I've been told.
They're going to get right here where we are, and they're going to do the chicken dance.
See, did you see that? I said all of you.
Yeah, not just one, all of you. We have had so much fun tonight. The stories aren't over. We still have more program to come. But don't forget, you can call us. Even when we go back to the program, you can continue to call.
Yep.
Please call us. We want to hear from you. And these people that have come all the way from Arthur, all the way to Charleston, to our station, they want to hear from you too.
So stay tuned. Keep those phones ringing. Arthur, this is our story. Stay tuned.